Oh, perfect.
I want to see it.
1.5 billion? 1 billion?
What the fuck? Alright, surely, one shot right here. There it is.
Gara, what the fuck is this?
The absolute disrespect.
Techrot Encore has arrived, and with it we got the full 1999 experience, coda weapons, new tilesets, new sculpture weapons, and a lot of new changes regarding a large amount of our roster. Because there were so many changes, and I don't want to tire you waiting for me to talk about each change in particular, I will do fewer videos separated in the categories that got changed or added with this update. Starting with today's video on Pseudo-Exalted weapons. This was something I talked about a few weeks ago and gave my predictions on what's going to happen when the update arrives. I am happy most of my predictions came correct, but you can always do so much with just numbers, so when the update hits, I went to work. After quite a bit of trial and error, I can give you a full breakdown of the Pseudo-Exalted abilities rework, and I will also provide late game builds for all of them included with the least investment possible. But before that, we gotta understand the new combo system these abilities have. Before the update, these abilities took the mods from your melee weapon, so whatever combo you had on your melee, you also had on your Pseudo-Exalted. Now these Pseudo-Exalteds comes with their own combo system, which goes from 2x to 12x. Atlas and Khora can stack this extremely quickly, as hitting one enemy gives you extra 1x combo, while Ash needs a bit more time to tag multiple enemies. For everyone but Ash, this combo system allows for these abilities to stack way quicker, which is already awesome. But the scaling of damage also has its own system. With our melee system at 12x combo, you would only be able to reach a max of 3.75x damage multiplier on your Pseudo-Exalted weapons. DE has changed this, and the ability damage actually scales 1 to 1, which means that on 12x combo, your ability will deal 12 times the damage, which is absolutely nuts as a multiplier. Overall, these changes buffed the frames that use Pseudo-Exalted abilities, but it also made them way more accessible for game modes like EDA and the Circuit. You see, on EDA and Circuit, your loadout is completely random. 3 Warframes and 3 weapons of each category. And before, in order to get Khora for example, stars also had to align so you would get an amazing melee weapon to pair with her, that you also had a Riven mode on. Otherwise, your Khora would simply not deal enough damage to keep up. Now because your Pseudo-Exalted is part of your kit, this does not matter anymore, and you're allowed to freely explore your options on melee weapons, which is a really good change overall. This is a good direction to fix these Warframes, as they don't require expensive Rivens to be played to a decent level, and will only require your attention to building the Warframe itself, which is way more healthy. One last thing is that the duration of these abilities to be recast works with any combo duration sources, so when playing these Warframes, you must use a primary Dexterity and the secondary Dexterity Arcane to have their combo window 20 seconds long. Let's see which Warframes changed individually now from the worst to the best in the patch. Starting off with Atlas, he has had quite the buffs on his stats to accommodate the changes in order to be able to abuse this new combo system. Before Techrot Encore, Atlas would have only 5% crit chance and 5% status chance, and those now have changed to 35% crit chance and 15% status chance, which is really big. Along with this, landslide punches have different ranges depending on what punch you are doing, and have been increased to 8 meters at most. This was the biggest change, as landslide's 2 meter base range previous to this update was barely usable. Before the update, your damage was amazing and you could easily hit 8 or even 9 digit numbers, but you had to get up close and personal to even cast the ability. Now it's overall more consistent, its AoE is really good, and the Rumble Augment allows for enemies that somehow survive the attacks to not fly to the void. The best thing is that Atlas has innate knockdown resistance and will be immune during his first ability at all times, so he is overall a really easy frame to just jump in and destroy enemies in your path with punches without the need to be afraid of dying. His Rubble paired with a decent health tanking build is also really strong on its own, so just in case you run out of energy you always have a backup plan. And with the changes to Landslide's crit chance, Wrathful Advance is not a must have anymore, but rather an ability you can use if you want to see bigger numbers. Really strong changes overall that made Atlas more fun and accessible to players that want to fist their enemies to death. Up next, we're gonna look at Khora. This is the Warframe that everyone got super afraid it's gonna become useless after the changes and die. And I am proud to tell you that Khora is absolutely fine. Well, possibly more than fine. While the new ability combo system does apply to Khora, DE decided to nerf her damage from 300 to 150 for balancing regions, which is a pretty big hit considering accumulating Whip Claw exists. But I can see why DE went with this direction, because Whip Claw with a new combo system and melee influence goes really hard. While the numbers stay quite high at 7 digits without any external buffs, even against armor, the electricity procs from melee influence proccing on everyone in the dome destroys any enemy that gets too close and scales really well even on really high level missions. I think the base damage nerf was probably justified, judging by what we got in the end, and Khora is now in a more balanced state while not losing her identity whatsoever as a Warframe. You can still do the same thing as you did with her before, one-shotting everyone including acolytes, but you will just see smaller damage numbers appear, which is fine for her. Considering the melee influence Arcane scaling with this ability, the damage on those 4-digit high levels will be enough to one-shot enemies through the electricity proc, dealing way more damage than the initial hit. Khora now thrives on high enemy density and will absolutely solo carry teams with less investment than before. As was probably the most anticipated Warframe of the update with the changes that got mentioned for him, and I can safely tell you that they delivered on him way too well. I had an idea of what to do with his build immediately when I saw the numbers, and I definitely knew I was in for a treat. With max investment, you will easily be able to one-tap any enemy with his Bladestorm regardless of their level, while keeping your energy sustained quite high. Bladestorm feels way smoother to use as its reticle and hitbox was increased and the attacks happen faster than before in one big hit, which gives you the big damage number dopamine. The minimal addition of 5% crit chance, 1.2x multiplier and 5% status chance is exactly what broke Ashe. With a correct build, you can now actually red crit on your 4th ability, and with Arcane Crepuscular and the Tenacious Bone mode, the crit damage goes from 1.2x all the way to 5.6x. Wrathful Advance and Ashe's Bladestorm can hit for even 10-digit numbers, which could completely destroy any enemy you put it up against, and the only issue I can really say about Ashe is that Bladestorm takes some time to kill enemies, and although on base Steel Path some monkey with a stick will be killing everything before your ability does, on higher levels where enemies get tankier, having this insta-kill ability on demand is really helpful to you and your team. Besides Bladestorm, Ashe himself got excellent quality of life buffs, like an extended period of invisibility on his 2, and his 1 also allows for a great subsume with the new changes, as it's 750 base damage with a guaranteed bleed that hits 5 enemies at the same time. A great rework to a Warframe that used to be a Loki clone at best and a team killer at worst. Finally, we have Gara, and oh boy, where do I even start? Gara is simply broken. No matter where you look at it from, she has extreme damage, extreme range, no line of sight checks on a 42-meter radius outside of her 4th ability's explosion? What? Yeah, this is fine. I don't see any issue with this whatsoever for you. Shattered Glass had 0% crits, 1x crit multiplier, and 0% status chance and a 10-meter range with a 0.75-meter sweep radius. Now, it has 20% crit chance, 2x multiplier, 30% status chance, 12-meter radius, and a 1.75-meter sweep radius. Oh, and its base damage was halved, but who cares? New combo system. It's actual insanity how little you can do if you have a Gara in your squad in a survival mission. You simply have to outpace her in order to win against her, and there is simply no other way to go about it. Shattered Lash deals crazy damage from extremely far away, with 100% slash damage at base and 100% follow through, and paired with her 4th ability, it provides Gara with a nuke that doesn't account for line of sight. When I made the video, I predicted that Gara would be broken, and I couldn't imagine just how broken she would actually be, and I wouldn't be surprised if a small adjustment to her was placed, because this is ridiculous. One last thing is that while playing Gara, you should always hold your first ability down and not actually press it, because that gives you the sweep radius and that also makes it deal 100% slash proc. Before I close this video, I really want to showcase something people are 100% gonna ask me, so let's get it out of the way now. Multiplicative Acuity is gone this patch. Is Stahlta still good with it? Yeah, multiplicative or not, Acuity is still insane on it. Alright, that's about it for today's video. Next video will cover every exalted melee weapon, and I will get to finishing it as quickly as possible. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.